Okay guys, this is your video over two-step equations. So we are moving on from just plain basic one-step equations to two-step equations. This includes some extra, it's just equations that are just a little bit longer. If you are trying to stay organized, remember that the inverse property only is used when going from or to move numbers from one side to the other. So please, you can start drawing lines down your equal sign just to kind of keep everything organized, keep everything on one side, help stay organized on one side or the other of the equation, okay? So when solving equations, we use the inverse property to move things around, but it's usually a little bit difficult to decide which ones do we need to move first. Here's our variable. There's our missing piece of the equation, this missing number. 3 times some number minus 5 is going to equal 4, but we got to figure this out. We start using the inverse operations. So there's a few different ways to remember this. When talking about PEMDAS, that is the order of operations. PEMDAS is something you've learned before. You kind of do PEMDAS backwards whenever you do solving for equations. So you actually start with the addition and subtraction first. So anytime you have addition and subtraction, let's start with that first to move it away from the variable. So this variable does have a coefficient. It is multiplied times the 3. We're going to save that for last and work on our addition and subtraction first. Okay, so since I know I'm going to do that, this is a minus 5 here. Just so you guys know, this minus 5 is considered, this is like negative value, okay? So since I have this minus 5, I need to do the opposite, the inverse, which is a plus 5. I'm going to add 5 to both sides of my equation. This cancels out. I use a slash to show that it cancels out, just to show myself so I remember that I am not going to rewrite anything right here. What I am going to rewrite is this 3x. This 3x is the new part of the equation on this side, okay? There is nothing else besides 3x on this side. On this side of the equation, I now have 4 plus 5. That's 9. And then the last thing I do, 3 times x, so this is back to that one-step equation where I need to use the inverse property, the inverse operation, to get this 3 to go over here. Remember, right now they are multiplying. Sitting side by side like this, number times a variable, is a multiplication problem. So if I use a division sign and divide both of these by 3, which I have to do on both sides of my equation, whatever you do to one side, you do to the other, you will cancel out 3. 3 divided by 3 is 1. We are now left with just 1x. 9 divided by 3 is 3, and we have figured out our mystery number. Let's just check this really quick. Does 3 times 3 minus 5 equal 4? 3 times 3 is 9. 9 minus 5 does equal 4. If you are ever having to check yourself and you would like, this is how you do it in the calculator. You would have to say 3 times 3 using parentheses instead of a variable, remember, minus 5. I'm going to write this I put it inside the parentheses. Minus 5 equals 4. Now you don't press enter, you press the actual equal sign. And the cool thing about our calculator is it helps us check our work. It tells us if we are right or wrong. It will say false if it were a wrong number anywhere in that equation. So it said true, so we did good. Good job, guys. All right, so next one, we have this equation. Remember, we'd start with the addition and subtraction first. So let's add this 3 to both sides. And that cancels out. We are left with x divided by 2, or x over 2. 5 plus 3 is 8. So the opposite of a division problem, which is what we have here, is a multiplication. So if I were to multiply this side by 2 and this side by 2, those will cancel out. And I'm left with x equals 16. 8 times 2 is 16. If you have to use your calculator for that, go ahead. All right, let's move on to the next one. We have 17 equals 4x plus 15. This is a little different because we were used to the variable stuff being on the first side of the equation. It does not matter. It can switch sides. It is okay. We work it the same way. We're just going to have to say minus 15 on both sides. We kind of start over here and work our way this way instead. All right, so this 15 minus 15 does equal 0, which means that is why we do it, why we cancel it out. 17 minus 15 is 2. I'm rewriting my new equation with new numbers. There is nothing here anymore. We moved it over here to this side. All right, so now I have 2 equals 4x. You could probably figure out what number times 4 equals 2, but if you can't, because that's kind of a hard concept to figure out, let's divide both sides by 4. Cancels out here. We are left with just this x, right? That's what we always try to do. It is on this side. I'm going to keep it on this side just to be clear. 2 divided by 4 does not divide all the way out. It actually just reduces. So 2 divided by 4 reduces down to 1/2. If you knew that in your brain, that is great. However, you can always use your calculator to reduce fractions just like we did there. So it was 1/2 the whole time. X was 1/2. Let's move on to this one. This one is kind of arranged the same way. Okay, let's remember to start with the addition and subtraction and worry about this later. So let's add 1 to both sides. I now can cancel that out. I have 3 equals x over 11. Next step is to multiply by 11 because this is a division by 11. We need x all alone on this side of the equation. Right now, it's not alone, it's divided by x. Let's get it away. Let's move it over here. So this will cancel out, which is exactly what we wanted to do to get to x. 11 times 3 is 33. So we use the same steps, the same operations, the same properties each time, just kind of, different when it comes to different numbers, different arrangements, all right? So let's look at these two. They're a little bit different. They include some negative numbers. Let's find the variable. Here's the variable. We need to figure out what that number is, and we need to get all these numbers away to this side of the equation. Let's start with the addition and subtraction. Well, you might say that that is an addition of 2. That's correct, but it is addition of 2x. The 2 is the coefficient to the x. It is multiplied times x. We are going to worry about that last, which means we need to worry about this -1 first. How can we move -1 to the other side? We have to make it go away. The only way to make it 0 would be to add 1. We know that -1 plus 1 is 0, and if you need to verify that, -1 plus 1 is 0. It makes it go away. Okay, but whatever we do to one side, we have to do to the other. And we remember that it is a plus 1 on both sides. So let's take 7 plus 1, and we get 8. We move this down. So 2x comes, I don't know why I did that. 2x is on this side. We now have 8 equals 2x. I can now divide both sides by 2 to get that to go away. I have 4 equals x. 8 divided by 2 is 4. If you do it in your calculator, it will give you the answer. If you decided that you don't like writing them this way and you like writing them with x first, x equals whatever number, you could just switch it to say x equals 4. That is totally fine as your answer. But whenever you're working it and putting on the answers down, it's important to keep your x on the side that you had it on originally. It will help in the future. All right, let's look at this one. Remember, we're going to work with addition and subtraction first. So this right here, this plus 4, is the one that we need to look at first. We need to subtract 4 on both sides. I'm going to write, so there's nothing here. I'm going to rewrite this negative x down here. 1 minus 4 is -3. 1 minus 4, -3. So I need you to understand that this was not 1 minus -4. If I typed 1 minus -4 in my calculator, it would give me something totally different than my actual answer. This says 1 minus 4. 1 minus 4 is -3. Okay, so make sure we're using the calculator to kind of help us out, verify our math. Okay, we have it we can use it, we have it, let's use it. We are not done. This x is not technically all the way by itself. If you remember from the basic equations video, I said that there is something invisible in front of that x and in front of that, behind that negative. It is a 1. This is technically -1 times x. They just don't write -1 because it doesn't need it. We know that that's 1x. So we are going to actually divide both sides by a -1. Whoops. So that is just plain x equals, and -3 divided by -1 equals a +3. Again, if you need your calculator to do the division, please use it. It is a negative divided by a negative, which equals a positive. All right, that is our video for two-step equations.